Good evening. Welcome back to the channel with my co-host
Hi.
Amanda and our guest
Hi.
Matty Ice. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you both.
And you, my friend. How are you, Amanda?
Very good. Shana Tova, everybody.
Yeah,
The
Shanatova.
second night of Rosh Hashanah. Shana Tova. Let's have a drink.
Yeah, cheers, cheers.
Cheers.
There you go. At least we're all on the same page.
I came prepared.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
So
Perfect.
last time off camera, we kind of touched on a topic that actually became more interesting as we delved into it. The San
Oh, thanks
Diego.
a lot.
No, it was just. Do you remember we all said, didn't we?
You're
We,
right. You're
we
totally
couldn't
right.
we couldn't believe we didn't record it, could we? You know what I mean? We missed out
Oh, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
that story, and the San Diego music scene in the '90s was just vibrant and a complete mix of punk, hip hop, grunge, I suppose. Although not as much as influence as say Seattle, but you had the
Yeah.
skater scene as well.
Yeah, you nailed it with how you described that. I got into music around that same time when it was really bubbling up here. Um, and the early shows that I went to, you would see an eclectic mix of bands on the same bill. Like Bucko Nine is bringing the ska, a little bit of reggae, and then followed by POD, which it felt like they were more
Oh,
like
that's
heavy metal at the point,
Yeah.
and then Lucy's Fur Coat, who's more punk, kind of like Rolling Stones, and it was great. The crowd loved it all. It's not like, oh, one crowd moved in to see one band and filtered out. No, the whole San Diego music fans, they were there and excited to see all of those bands. And I think Rocket from the Crypt was on that same bill, but I would see like Blink, Unwritten Law, Lucy's Fur Coat, Bucko Nine, like all in one show for like $8. This is like
yeah. Wow.
1994, 95, around that era.
Glory days, boy. Wow.
Yeah.
You can't even get a drink at a concert now for under $20.
Oh, I know. Yeah. That's
God.
why these days I'm not following any of the current bands as much. I just go to these dive bars out in like Cardiff and no cover charge, a killer
Smart.
band Wednesday through Sunday, two bands a night. And yeah, you could still grab a drink there for under $10. So
Good. Seriously. It's economical now. You have to consider it.
yeah.
Oh,
But they
that's
they called they were predicting San Diego was going to be the next Seattle because Seattle had such a outpouring of great bands, and the San Diego scene, I started to research it a little bit more. They were kind of bubbling up throughout the 80s, and by the time the record companies were coming down to San Diego, a lot of the bands were getting signed national contracts and touring opportunities and stuff. I don't think by listening to some people talk, it became that, but in my opinion, from like 94 to let's say 2004, like the next 10 years, you did see a lot of bands and singer songwriters pop out of San Diego. So there was a lot of output, maybe not all in one year or two like Seattle had, but there was a lot of musical acts coming through San Diego.
Would you say there was so much like classic venues like Shea Cafe or Casbah that people were striving to perform at?
Yeah, those were two of the biggest. Absolutely. I'll rattle off some others. I took some notes. Casbah, I'll kind of relate it to comedy. They're like Casbah in San Diego is like the comedy store in LA. Like everybody wanted to play there. If you played there, you kind of made it. They were very picky, I think, on who they would allow, and they were ahead of the curve too. The owners
okay.
were always ahead of the curve musically, and so like Nirvana came through there and Smashing Pumpkins, and like the first year that the Casbah was around, like in 90, 89, 90.
Well,
So yeah, Che Cafe was a big one. Soma was big, a lot of punk bands. A lot of the shows I went to were at Soma and Casbah. Canes was another cool spot. That was in Mission Beach. And then you have the San Diego SDSU back door. So the Ramones, Metallica, and REM went through there in the early 80s.
Wow.
But
wow.
I'll talk more about like the San Diego bands.
Yeah.
But yeah, Casbah is definitely like the pinnacle. You also have the Belly Up as well. But Casbah, like all those bands, the bigger ones I mentioned, they all wanted to play Casbah as they rolled into town. So
you also had quite a fusion of styles in terms of clothing and merchandise. But at the same time, even though they were distinctive, I'd say that they overlap some. The skating wear to the hip hop wear to punk band, it was kind of a complete mashup of all of it, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah, I would say that. I've never gone to a Casbah show or a Soma show where I'm like that's a bad t-shirt. Like they all like it feels like all the bands, whether they're local or not, always had great merch, patches, t-shirts, hats, stickers. And one thing about the San Diego bands, it feels like no one was really copying anybody else's style. Like, they were just kind of their own. They all had their own identity, I think.
Like they're more individualistic, you'd say, than the Seattle. Like that was a better, yeah.
I don't know about that, but I know people would say like if the bands were growing up and living within LA, they might have been like pressured to go a certain way, where it felt like when I was reading and researching it over the weekend, like the bands here, they just had freedom and they were able to cultivate their brand. By the time these companies came in, you didn't have to do much. They were who they were and they stuck to that. So
I have heard the term creativity resistance bandied around back then about bands in San Diego, that they had their own distinct way of doing things and they weren't going to be influenced by anybody else.
yeah, and then some of them didn't even want those record companies coming through, like what I mean? Like they were really how do you say it, like just anti-establishment, or just they didn't want to sell out or whatever. But yeah,
Very
it
almost
was fun seeing a
famous.
lot of those bands.
What bands personally that have you seen that you've got like an anecdote about?
Um, I got to know Chris Arms really well. He's the lead singer and founder of Agent 51. So they did the song "She's My Heroine."
Yeah.
They just came out with a new album a couple months back, and me and him were graphic
Yeah.
designers at No Fear at the same time. And
Oh,
I remember seeing Chris's band years earlier. I think the first time probably like in 1998 or so at Canes, and they would wear like three-piece suits, looking like CIA agents. Like their original name was going to be Area 51, but that band name had already been taken, so they went with
yeah.
Agent 51. So they were more about aliens. In fact, Chris said that him and the drummer from Unwritten Law, they all went to high school with Tom DeLonge. They're the reasons why Tom is so much into aliens. So they got him into that. But Chris's band had a great, look to them, and they stuck with their brand. And to wear a three-piece suit on stage and sunglasses, that's hard to do. It's super hot, like,
Yeah.
they stick to it. So I just talked to him today on the phone. He's a great guy.
Amanda?
Well, well, obviously, you know how I feel about the Seattle music scene and the players in the Seattle music scene. But I know that with your skateboarding and all that sometimes combines your art too with music and stuff. Have you, anybody you want to tell me, that maybe you met or you associate with from a certain Seattle
Oh
band
yeah, I know
or
who you're referring to. Yeah. So the
like,
very first when I was like 15 years old, the music that was out, so that'll be in around 1990, just nothing spoke to me. So now I'm like a teenager. I'm like, well, all teenagers listen to music. Nothing spoke to me. And I'm like, I want to buy music, but like nothing, I'm not into anything. When Pearl Jam's 10 came out, I bought that. I actually bought it in cassette. I'm a little behind the times technology, as you probably know. And I was a fan of theirs from the get-go and just always admired that band. I've probably seen them like 11 times. And yes, so through skateboarding, when I went to the Skateboarding Hall of Fame at the Vans headquarters in Orange County, um, Jeff Ament was there. And him and I have mutual friends, and all of our mutual friends didn't know who Jeff was for years. Like they just,
wow.
Jeff Ament, skateboarder, cool guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you guys not realizing this is? So I then over time they, of course they did. And I never like to bug people like that, but I'm like, I gotta say hello real quick. And I did. And then a year later ran into him again and got to talk to him for quite a while. And just a great guy. And I think I told you, Amanda, like just talking to him for like 2 minutes, He's so cool.
Now you're
Just
like
it all erases
BFF.
that he's a
Like,
famous person. Now you're just talking to your
yeah,
new friend Jeff, who
he's
skateboards, and
cool.
we were talking skateboard graphics and art, and not so much music. But yeah, super talented band. I love that band a lot. Yeah, they're a
Yes.
good one.
I kind of missed out on. I suppose it was choice in music really, and where I was in my life at the time. It didn't really influence the UK back in the early night, like late 80s, early 90s. Although the Ramones did well and Pearl Jam did well, our scene
Oh,
was completely different. Ours was more of a hip hop scene, and
oh,
again,
interesting.
we had our own. Where I come from in Manchester, our own Manchester vibe with like Happy Mondays, Oasis, New Order, the
Yes,
Charlatans, and it kind
right.
of it kind of mirrored it, but didn't actually cross over. I quite find that's
Like
quite
mirrored it as its own movement.
yeah, entirely.
Yeah, in high school, I'm glad you brought that up. In high school, I was friends with a lot of the artists that I was friends with. They were the mods, so they were all into those British bands, and that
Yeah.
you rattled off. And I've listened to some of their stuff too. But yeah, total movement and aesthetic too.
We were kind of like completely involved and taken over with the acid house scene in the late 80s and early 90s, and it kind of pushed bands to the background. You were either one or the other. You never really found people
Oh,
that were in both camps. Is that something you experienced in the States?
interesting. Yeah, were you in both camps, or
Not really. Not.
did you pick a
I've
camp?
I've
Yeah,
always loved bands. I mean, but at that time it was hip hop and acid house music, really, in the late 80s and early 90s.
yeah. Yeah, here out here, when I was in high school, I'm gonna say like in the year of 80, 81, 82, raves were really popular. So my friends were finding raves in San Diego, but also driving far, like San
Yeah,
Bernardino and LA, to
yeah,
go to them. Is that what you were doing that during that time, Raf?
yeah. Doing exactly the same. Yeah. Go to a club and then
Yeah,
go to
very
one
fun.
nightclub and then all jump in cars and a huge convoy would head down the motorway to go and find a party in a warehouse. It was a bit
we
pan.
we were organized back then.
We really were. The fun's gone out of it now. Now you can
Yeah.
do it
Yeah, and that
legally.
was the thing too. Now, was it the case with you? Like here, it was like they knew kind of where it was, but they didn't know like sometimes they wouldn't know the address.
You
They
might
were
get some
like they wouldn't
flares. You
find.
might get some flares
Yeah.
shot in the air,
Oh.
and
Oh, really?
you'd all
Okay.
right there. It is over there. And
All right.
the motorways
That's
would be
funny.
absolutely chock a
Wow.
block with people.
Pretty much, you'll
That's
know it
cool.
when you see it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing. It was. I look back at. I think we're very lucky in our lifetime to have experienced a musical revolution, albeit in two different ways. The acid house movement was a huge revolution in the UK. Was it similar for you guys in the States?
Um, I wasn't into it, but I know it was happening. You'd see certain bands on your TV, but also my friends were going to these raves, and they all were gravitating to the UK bands, or I'm sorry, like the DJs. So I was aware of it, but it wasn't like what I was listening to.
It
I'm
felt
open
like
to
it
listening to
felt like
everything.
it felt like the 60s. That's how it felt. It
Oh
felt like
yeah,
the
it
seven
did. No, it
that
totally
kind of
did.
vibe to it.
Yes.
Yeah, even though
Yeah,
the
and the
music was
peace and
different, yeah,
the a
the
little bit of the
message was the same.
yeah, it was,
Yeah,
yeah. And then I think they probably hate this, but like Oasis reminded me of the Beatles in that sense too. And
very
Oasis
much
is a
so.
great band. Like I like them. I always like them. But yeah, I know like that whole vibe and the rave scene, the acid house music. That was yeah. Did it ever dip, or was it always big in your part of the world?
The moment that they got rid of the illegal parties, it kind
Oh,
of died a death. And now, my friend that back then, when I was 16, 17, he's actually started putting on parties twice a year for everybody that's my age. So all the same people that were there 37 years ago,
oh,
36 years
good.
ago,
That's cool.
we're all together again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
You
That's
have to
really
do
cool.
that.
it's
That's
quite
good.
nice. It's quite nice to
Yeah.
reconnect with everybody.
So they really cracked down on it, right? They were making it illegal across the board. What? Just
Well,
no more warehouse parties?
they demonized ecstasy. That was the problem. They demonized it in the newspapers. And I remember there was a campaign for a poor girl that died called Leah Betts. And once she died and her parents had billboards made nationwide of her on life support on these big billboards. And
oh my God.
that became the end of
what a downer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. It kind of reminds me, just the scene that you're talking about. I happened to be in Las Vegas one year when the Electric Daisy Festival was going on. Have the two of you ever attended that?
I've heard of it. No,
I've heard of it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. Like it's almost, I mean, I saw the characters and everything. I just wasn't, I didn't go to that event, but it kind of looks, maybe it's like the house party outdoors meets Burning Man or something, but pretty wild.
Yeah. We have a lot of those things here. Yeah, in Canada, we have a lot of those because, like, especially out west, like the same climate, you know, like in the woods, there's a lot of those kind of festivals.
Yeah, we have
like,
that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's like camping ones, you know, and they're all just big raves. Like, you know, everyone's just messed up for 3 days, and you know, there's and that's, you know, but
so I gotta ask you two, what was the first album that each of you had bought? The first one ever.
She Sells Sanctuary.
Oh, nice! I have that one. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the Cult.
First album I bought, the Cult. She Sells Sanctuary.
Wow. Yeah.
I had lots of the 7-inches as a kid, as a young kid, like the Beatles and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But first album was that I actually bought was She Sells Sanctuary.
Wow. Yeah. They did a free show at the Del Mar racetrack a couple years back, and I couldn't go, but my cousin went and he showed me the video, and I'm like, they're the one band that they're on the top of my list. The band who I have not seen live yet. It's the Cult.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Your first album, Amanda?
Well, there was a music store. It was pretty big when people still bought albums and contributed and everything. And they used to do like you buy 5 for a certain price. I don't know how much it was then or whatever. And I just remember it was a big thing because it was the first time I ever went to the store by myself and bought something by myself without my parents. And I don't remember all of them, but I remember one of them was Sex Pistols, one of them was 10. One of them was Nevermind, and I don't rememst the rest of them, but it was pretty much like because it was all sectioned off, and I think like I just you know went over to that section and just particularly the Sex Pistols poem and playing it for my poor father and just Anarchy in the UK. My dad was like, "What is this? This is noise. Like, what is this?" But no, but yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, and I definitely still have 10 on cassette, and I have the album, obviously. But yeah, it was a pretty good memory back when people used to buy music and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's different times. I went to when I was in LA for a comedy show a couple weeks back. I went to the legendary Amoeba Records, and I had never been, but I always heard about it. And if you're ever in LA, check that out because it was insane. They have everything in there. It's amazing. So imagine just like the biggest record store of all time, and it's there. Wow. It was amazing.
I actually miss. I mean, albeit when vinyl disappeared and it became CD. The part of the process was going in and actually then opening your CD and reading your CD inlay, and that was something that I look forward to. And
the fold out, yeah.
And I think it's astonishing. For example, an artist say Eminem, where over 1 million people worldwide have walked into a shop every day and bought that album, and that's I mean, now it's just on streams, and the artists are getting paid next to nothing.
I know I really, it just, they put in so much work. And, I've heard like, what is it? I think it was, oh shoot, sorry. It was, Snoop Dogg had mentioned something along the lines of an artist has to get like 1 million plays on Spotify to make like 8 cents. That's a highway robbery. And, back then I think they were only getting like on average, maybe like the band was getting maybe $1 or $2 per CD. There was a lot of the record companies were screwing all these artists over,
Super corrupt.
Yes. Yeah. So, I like how they cut that out, but it's like, how do they make money now? And I guess a lot of it's just their merch and their touring, which kind of was like the way they made money anyways during the old record deal days. So Yeah, just pretty crazy.
What's the first album that you bought, Matty? What's the first?
I'm sorry, say it again.
What's the first album that you bought?
Oh, mine was Pearl Jam's 10. Yeah. Um, I'm sure I got it at like Tower Records. We had one of those in my town and then a warehouse as well. I'd bounce between those two stores and actively buy records. And we had some Amanda said something that reminded me of a deal we had out here in the States. It was called BMG. So you buy one CD for 14 bucks
Yeah,
and you get like
10
20 of them
more.
for free,
Yeah.
or they're like a nickel a piece. And then if you sign up a friend, you get 5 extras and then they get the deal.
Oh.
So we signed that. And I think this is how my brother got into music pretty quickly because he's a musician and he's 9 years younger than me. So, of course, I'm signing up my sister. She's signing up Nicholas. Now we have like 80 CDs arriving monthly. My sister's making up names of people who are not even in our family. And it was just a great way to, I don't know how that company made money.
I did the same thing as well. I was with that, with the
Yeah.
CDs. Have you have
Yeah.
you have you worked within the music scene at all?
Have I what?
Have you done any work within the music scene?
I used to design some flyers for my friends' local bands. Like if they had a show coming up, I'll do a little graphic. Um, yeah, my brother's been in multiple bands, but I just he would provide the artwork for it, so I never wanted to impose my art on that or anything. He never asked either. It's fine. um, I've done like different I remember there was some charities raise money for artists, but also musicians. So I would paint a skateboard and donate it to help raise money for kids. So um, that's
Nice.
the only stuff I've done with the music industry. I remember one time I did Pearl Jam did a like a fan contest. I'll have to dig this up, and it was during Backspacer, and I narrated a little scene because my friends and I were able to sneak into better seats, and I documented
Oh,
that
cool.
in comic book form. And then I put in
Oh,
friends of mine who were in the crowd
That's
that were fans of
awesome.
the band or were at the concert. And I'm gonna have to look it up because it's done in the style of the artwork. And I forget the artist's name, but Backspacer they used
Yeah.
an artist, and
The
then I'll have to look for that. It was pretty cool. It didn't win anything, but I remember posting it on Facebook, getting a lot of reaction from people I'd never
That's
met.
really
So that was kind of
cool.
fun.
Yeah, that's
I had
really
lost
Yeah.
my
cool.
job at Quicksilver at that time, so it was kind of fun to kind of get some, applause from
Yeah,
the online community.
for sure.
I'll
That's
look it up.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
um, I'd like to. I just haven't done anything with bands, but um, yeah, I admire musicians, and I just I think I have an ear for it when I know, oh, this band's good or this one's not. But some of my friends are like, oh, like, and I could tell, if someone's very, very talented. Other times friends would be like, oh yeah, listen to this bass player. Then you're like, oh yeah, like, but my brother is talented. He's been in several San Diego bands. Fever Sleeves was one, and they would play the Casbah regularly. He was in a band called Nicely, and now he's in a band, Gary Wilson and the Blind Dates. He plays with them every once in a while. I think they kind of rotate musicians out of the band. So
Well, I'll
That's
make
cool.
I'll make sure in the comment section on YouTube I'll put some links into your brother's bands as well.
oh, thank you, thanks.
Well,
Yeah, for sure.
it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We're out of time. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you
And
both.
Take care.
Till next
And
Happy New
time.
over. Until
Year.
next time. Good
All
night,
right.
guys.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.